Hey guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is a daily show where we give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today, Director of Development and host of Collider Jedi Council, Kristian Harloff.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Collider Movie Talk. Very excited. Big news day here today, so let's get talking.
Also here, host of Collider Heroes, Jon Schnepp.
Yeah, a very different day than yesterday where there was literally almost no news. Now it's chock full of news. We can't even talk about that mysterious Werner Herzog movie, The Eighth Dwarf. That's not even on the program.
Eighth is coming.
Also here, baby carrot eater, Mark Ellis.
Thank you very much. I'm going to launch my own show on Collider. Schnepp, what time does Heroes come on usually?
Usually at like 4:30 or 5 in the afternoon.
Then you know what? The Mark Ellis hosted Villains is going to come on at like
Yes.
5:07. I'm
Please
just going
do
to
it.
completely
Love it.
cut your legs out from
I'm
under.
just going to talk about bald cats.
I'm just going to
Yeah.
talk about evil, villainous pets.
I
I
love
like it.
it.
Okay,
I'll watch that.
Before we move on to movie news, just to let you guys know, we've been talking about it. Very excited here that we here at Collider are doing a Comic-Con contest. If you want to check out the details on that contest, the link is in the description, but it's really cool. You guys can get airfare for two to San Diego, California, 2 badges to San Diego Comic-Con. Yep, accommodations at a hotel located at the San Diego Comic-Con shuttle route, and a $250 gift card for meals, transit, whatever your heart desires.
What can they spend the money on?
Whatever they want. If you want to go, listen, $250, you could buy a nice figurine if you wanted, or you could buy some food.
Can
get
you buy
hungry.
Mark Ellis some Coors Lights?
If you want, if you go on over to Wood Ranch, $3 happy hour.
Hey, buy me Garbage Pail Kids, guys.
Listen, there's a lot of stuff. This is really cool. It's an exciting thing that Collider is doing. Like I said before, in the description, go in there and check it out. All right, Ashley, what's up first?
According to a report from THR, Donald Glover is in talks to join the Jon Watts-directed Spider-Man Homecoming in a mysterious role that has yet to be revealed. Back in 2011, the community star embraced a social media campaign started by his fans called Donald for Spider-Man, with the hopes of him landing the title role in the Amazing Spider-Man reboot. And although we know that has ended, the fans now have a renewed interest because of the new casting report, with many wondering if Sony and Marvel are in fact setting the stage for Glover to become Miles Morales, the person chosen to succeed Peter Parker as Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe of Marvel Comics. But with no confirmation, the fans are only left with speculation for now. Glover joins the already impressive cast in the next Spidey adventure that will see Tom Holland as Spider-Man alongside Michael Keaton, Marissa Tomei, and Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. Spider-Man Homecoming comes to theaters on July 7, 2017. Kristian, who do you think Glover is playing in Spider-Man Homecoming?
You know, I don't know. I don't think he's playing Miles Morales. I just think that if this character, Tom Holland, would have been Spider-Man for a little bit, then maybe. But Tom Holland did such a great job already in this small role in Civil War, and the fans have already. There are a lot of people saying he's the best Spider-Man we've had yet. And in the storyline, then I guess Peter Parker has to die in order for Miles Morales to take up the mantle. Now, that being said, he could easily, they could maybe make them both at the same time, but I think that gets a little convoluted. I think he's just going to play another character, someone who's kind of helping him out, maybe a friend of his. They look kind of around the same age range, maybe he's a little older, but I think that they absolutely was just going to cast him as something else. But if he is Miles Morales, it would be interesting because there were early reports that Miles Morales was going to be in Spider-Man, that it was going to be him. So, and then it's interesting that he does get cast because a lot of people thought that he could play Miles Morales, but I personally don't think it's going to be Miles Morales. Schnepp, what do you think?
It'd be a little weird if he's playing Miles Morales, especially after the next year they're doing the animated movie, which I've heard that's going to be the Miles Morales Spider-Man. If he is playing Miles Morales, they could change it up a little bit, make him older, and make him more of like Peter Parker as a mentor, But honestly, maybe he's maybe he's Harry Osborn, Maybe he's playing the Vulture.
Change it up a little bit.
Yeah, who knows who he's going to be? It could just be a cameo, as in like a nod and thanks. So like, hey, thank you so much for supporting Spider-Man. Now you get to be in the Spider-Man movie. Maybe you're not Spider-Man. We don't know yet. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if they made him an older character named Miles Morales, who we all know eventually will become a version of Spider-Man, but he's just not Spider-Man yet. I don't know.
Yeah, just don't do that Dark Knight Rises thing where like he's just hanging out and at the end of the movie it's like, hey, you know what? You should be Robin. Like, no. Don't try to wedge in Miles Morales unless you plan on telling some story that is similar to what he is in the comic books. I'm not saying you got to kill Peter Parker, though. Like, I agree with you. You can change the lore for the film. Yeah. Marvel's been able to do that to tremendous results, as has DC. Now, whether Sony is confident in launching their Spider-Man franchise, Spider-Man Homecoming, and all of a sudden, right off the bat, being like, oh, by the way, Peter and Miles are going to be in this movie. Maybe Miles gets to be Spider-Man. We're not going to kill off Peter Parker just yet. So it seems like weird timing to, go ahead and put Donald Glover in this movie and try to introduce him as Miles Morales. I wouldn't hate it. I would not hate it. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I think he's playing a different character.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter also on if they're going to do it. Like you said, how are they going to do it? Like, it's not, I'm not going to be upset if we find out he is playing Miles Morales. Oh no, why'd they do that? We don't know if they're going to follow. They have made changes. Even look at the Civil War storyline. They make changes in a lot of the comic lines, and they might do it again if indeed it fits the story. So we'll see when it happens. But I don't even think it's necessarily confirmed yet that he is playing.
Nothing is confirmed. But the other thing too is if you look at the Spider-Man comics now, everyone is in the same universe. They got rid of the Ultimate Universe. They've got characters like Spider-Gwen. I mean, Sony wants to have their own Spider-Man universe. Even though Spider-Man is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there's nothing to say that they won't go ahead and make a Sinister Six movie or make another Spider-Man spin-off film or even a Spider-Gwen film in 5 years, depending on how this goes.
That's tough to do now, though. It's a little trickier now because the properties, because if it does tie into whatever Spider-Man film they do, that is essentially tying into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I think they are, I don't necessarily say handcuffed, but they do have to pay attention to that because I think that the Sinister Six still plays into that world and still plays into those events.
It'll be a new Sinister Six if they do it.
Correct,
but, I think they're working together right now. Let's see how the first one goes.
Right. They are going to be beholden to Marvel's will. I mean, that's at least my read. That was my read since they signed this deal. And if, if you have him, because I believe when he appeared in, what was it, issue 4 of Ultimate Spider of Fallout, Peter Parker was already dead. So I don't know if they knew each other previous. I didn't read the comic book series, but I remember when it came out, hearing about this new Spider-Man. So if they want to change the lore, they're going to have to do it dramatically so, but I wouldn't hate it if they did.
Right.
Okay, what's next?
In a report from Deadline, Paramount Pictures has found a pair of directors for its planned Beverly Hills Cop 4. The film had previously been set to debut in March of this year, before it was pulled from the studio's release slate a little over a year ago. Brett Ratner has been attached to direct but has since dropped out. Now Eddie Murphy and producer Jerry Bruckheimer have set TIFF 2015 award-winning directors Adil Arbi and Bilall Fallah to helm the long-overdue sequel, which will see Murphy return to the role of Axel. Arbi and Fallah are known for their crime drama Black, which won TIFF's Discovery Award last year. Murphy and Bruckheimer were so impressed with their work that they set up a meeting with the pair of Belgian writer-directors where they were surprised to find that the Beverly Hills Cop films were personally important to them as filmmakers. And now with the directors set, the studio hopes to get moving on the movie, though a release date has yet to be determined. Schnepp, thoughts on the new directors for Beverly Hills Cop 4?
Sounds cool. I mean, especially if they're fans of the original series. You want to have people who are like, they know and understand why Beverly Cops, the first film, was such a hit. It coming how many years later after Beverly Hills Cop 3?
Almost
that was
30
like
years?
mid-90s.
I didn't bring that one up.
Somewhere around there?
Yeah, 94.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. They haven't set a release date. They're kind of dodging around and like walking on eggshells. All right, they got these two new dudes who like the old film. Cool. When's it coming out? 2033. I mean, just set a date.
Right.
That's them hobbling around. We're not sure yet. Sometime in the next decade. I'm cool. I want to see it, but soon.
I love this news, and I see a lot of the comments going, why, and I get it. You see Beverly Hills Cop 3, and you go, no, we don't need that anymore. Eddie Murphy hasn't done a movie like this in a long time. I understand it, and I also understand to where for a long time Brett Ratner was attached, and like, no, just let it go.
Sure.
Look at these directors and what they've done, and also, as far as the tone goes, this to me reminds me of a Ryan Coogler Creed situation. No one wanted to see Creed when it was announced. Nobody wanted to see it. They were like, no way. Bruckheimer wasn't on 3, I don't believe, but he was part of 1, part of 2, knows the franchise. Eddie Murphy is going to change up. This is going to be a rated R version. They're not going to kind of popcorn it up the way they did PG-13 and completely lose the rhythm and the heart of what 1 and even 2 were all about. I think this is a good move. I think this is a way to get Eddie Murphy away from the Dr. Dolittle perception and away back in as Axel Foley. So yes, I think this is great. But I do understand for every single person out there that's saying, why? I get the initial shock of it. I just think these two directors are the way to go.
How do you think I feel about this?
You love it.
I love it. As long as we get the right keyboard player. That's what's crucial to Beverly Hills Cop 4 is that we need to get that soundtrack. We need to get that score back, that iconic
Herbie Hancock.
sound. I want that feel from Beverly Hills Cop. And yes, I believe Eddie Murphy can still pull off Axel Foley because like if you go see Tower Heists, okay? Not a great comedy, but there's moments in there, man. There's flashes. It was kind of like watching Jordan when he was playing for the Wizards. You get to see flashes of what Eddie Murphy used to be able to do all the time in film, and I love the idea of having fresh young filmmakers inject their passion for a franchise into something like this. And look, you can say that Beverly Hills Cop is a lot like Ghostbusters, where it maybe should have stayed where it was, and it should have stayed in the 80s, and as much as it's a beloved property for a lot of people in multiple generations, we don't need to reboot it. I think Eddie Murphy still has a lot of stuff left to go. I think he's got a lot of ability left in him, and people want to sell him short. I was really bummed out not when Brett Ratner dropped out of producing the Oscars, but that caused Eddie Murphy to not host the Oscars, because that was the big return to form that I wanted to see. Eddie Murphy, not only has he had a lot of missteps and gone more towards the family-friendly stuff, but he also, in recent times, whether it was getting an award or a Lifetime Achievement Award on Spike TV, or whether it was coming out for Saturday Night Live's 40th anniversary and just kind of chilling and not doing a character, doing anything, it's like we just keep waiting to see if the guy has anything left in the tank. I believe he does. This would be the best way to reestablish Eddie Murphy, the comedic star.
And that's exactly why I'm glad he didn't do the Oscars, because he was like a deer in headlights at Saturday Night Live. He didn't want to be there. It wasn't that kind of improv thing that he used to be. He just wasn't prepared for it. Didn't want to do it. Now he would have been more prepared for the Oscars. Of course he would have. But the Oscars for everyone, had 3 years. Excuse me. It's 3 hours. It's just so tiring, and it's hard for somebody to stay on that entire time. That's not the way I'd want to see Eddie Murphy come back, because that's hard to sustain for 3 hours. This is the way I want to see him come back. And people are telling me in the chat room being too optimistic on this. I'm telling you, I just have a great feeling about this. I do think that these two directors are going to bring some love back to this
I think
franchise.
you're way too optimistic.
Fair enough.
Just kidding.
Fair enough.
But part of that
could be great.
Part of that is that people of a certain age are going to remember Eddie Murphy from film and how great he was on Saturday Night Live, and we're going to push aside the Norbits and the Dr. Doolittles and all that stuff and the Haunted Mansion. But there's a lot of stains on his legacy recently. Yeah. I think this would be a brilliant return to form, and I would at least like to see him try.
Yeah.
All right, and now before we move on to the Wendy Cam, I also want to let you guys know we have a couple things up on the channel right now. The Finding Dory review is up. It's the non-spoiler, obviously. It's on the channel right now. And when we did an Independence Day commentary, it was myself, Perry, and oh my God, and Dennis. Sorry, I was like, wait, Dennis did it. Absolutely.
I call him Denny sometimes.
Right.
You
He
call
does.
him Denny.
Dennis, myself.
And then Dennis gets really angry when you call him Dennis.
He's not a fan of me calling him Denny.
Denise. Me, myself, Denise, and Perry, we did Independence Day, and it was a lot of fun to review. I didn't realize that movie was 2 hours and 22 minutes, whatever it was. So it went by.
And there's
20 minutes of glory.
There's an extended version on that. It's a 4.5 hours. You can see that. It's an
Yeah,
opera
it
cut.
is.
Yeah, it's an
It is a
opera.
long
It's called the
cut.
opera cut.
Holy crap! I gotta see
Crazy.
that.
Anyway, so that will be up on the channel around 2 p.m. PST, so go and check that out. Wendy, what was the chat room saying today on our topics?
Well, for the Donald Glover and Spider-Man Homecoming story, some of the chat is speculating who he exactly will play. Some are saying that he's going to be Peter's teacher, Prowler, Robbie Robertson, Mysterio, and the most interesting one of all, Uncle Ben. Chatroom Goon says, I'd be down for Miles if Holland looked older. It would be weird to see the two of them together. And Adrian McLean says maybe he will be playing the scientist who creates the spider that bites Peter. For the new directors for the Beverly Hills Cop 4, a lot of the chat saying it's just been too long since the third one. Simon Thielens says, I'm from Belgium and have seen both their movies. They're really talented directors, but I'm not sure if they will fit the tone of Beverly Hills Cops. And Ronnie Houston says, I agree with Kristian. This could be Mr. Murphy's great comeback. Next up is him returning to stand-up. Please.
All right.
The guy's one of the best of all time. I'm telling you.
All right. Well, we'll see. Okay, now it's time for Buy or Sell. Ashley's going to read some more topics in the world of movie news, and myself, Schnepp, and Ellis are either going to buy or sell those topics. Ashley, what's up first?
The first featurette for Jack Reacher, Never Go Back, has been released via Paramount Pictures. The follow-up finds Tom Cruise's character returning to his roots as he discovers that the woman chosen to take over his role as head of the MP, played by Kobe Smulders, has been arrested for espionage. Writer-director Christopher McQuarrie did not reprise his duties for this sequel as he was too busy with Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. So Cruise enlisted his Last Samurai director, Edward Zwick, to handle directing duties. Jack Reacher, Never Go Back opens in theaters on October 21st. Mark, buy or sell this featurette for Jack Reacher, Never Go Back?
Fine, I'll buy it. I don't want to buy this thing for a number of different reasons. One is that I don't really want to see a featurette. If you're introducing this movie to me and you're trying to sell me on it, don't give me an Entertainment Weekly featurette to kick it off or an Entertainment Tonight. Give me a trailer. Let me get wrapped up in a cool 2-minute story. Having said that, and I didn't like the first Jack Reacher, by the way. I thought it was a total missed opportunity to have Tom Cruise, the action star, be great. But this story, it got me in, man. I like that Kobe Smulders is who he's trying to protect, that there's something going down and it's not her fault. She's going to be blamed for stuff. The scenes of action that you see in this featurette, which is not greatly put together, but the scenes that they have in here look pretty cool. When he's talking to the sheriff and the phone rings, and when he breaks in and he rescues Kobe Smulders just in time. Kobe Smulders looks like somebody who is a badass who does not need to be rescued, but I think that Tom Cruise is going to be back and going to continue what he's been able to do in the Mission Impossible movies and get the first Jack Reacher out of my head.
I am also, same thing. I'm going to buy the movie, but I'm going to sell the trailer for sure. I'm going to buy the movie and sell the trailer. I think, buy the movie, sell the trailer. I think that, to me, it looks really cool. Like, the images alone look really cool, but the actual trailer for me is like the voiceover, right. and it just, like Mark was saying.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
That's the thing, is all the images that I saw and the story itself looks to me that's something that I want to see, because I also didn't love the first movie.
It was super weird. It was weirdly put together. It's like, is this a trailer? And then it cuts away and she's like, I'm gonna explain-o-vision featurette trailer combo where, like, they're showing it and you're like, all right, now it's the trailer. Then you hear her, and here's where I kick ass. Like, what is the voice? Why? And then we both get caught and go to prison. So why is it explaining it? I see it happening. I can figure that out.
The funniest thing about that is that you and Dennis went in to go do a trailer reaction to that. You guys
we couldn't react to it.
You're like, what the hell?
Yeah, well, she's telling us what's happening, keeps cutting away to her, and then the Entertainment Weekly guy or the Entertainment Tonight, like, hey,
this was what you see when you go to the theaters and you sit down and it's just like people hanging out and the previews haven't started yet and they just have these like behind the scenes features. Right. That's what this was. I didn't want to see that, but fine, I'm in.
Right. And then here's where I jump and kick ass and flip-floppy flip, that like, just I want to see the trailer. So I was like, but I'm with these guys. I buy the idea of the trailer, but have to sell this execution of the introduction featurette, whatever explain-a-thon it was. It was, look, I'm in, but I like Jack Reacher. I know you guys didn't like it that much. I actually liked it. I liked Werner Herzog as a villain. I thought even Jai Courtney did a good job. I know you hate on Jai Courtney a lot. Look at that face. Come on.
Oh, no. You want to see a face? You want to see a face? Kristian, I now present the Rosamund Pike face.
That's what she did the whole movie. But
she's great.
I love her, but she's great. And Gone Girl,
she's amazing in Gone Girl.
She should have won. But in that movie, in Jack Reacher, like, you watch.
Hey, hang on. We're not talking about Jack Reacher. We're talking about the sequel. So anyway, I'm with both of these guys on buying and selling it. Goodbye.
All right, what's next?
Variety is reporting that Finest Hours director Craig Gillespie is on board to direct I, Tonya, the biopic about Tonya Harding with Margot Robbie attached to play the controversial figure skater. Harding rose in celebrity as one of the world's top figure skaters after she became the first woman to complete the triple axel move in major competitions. Her stay at the top would not last long. Harding's husband, Jeff Gillooly, and a group of thugs attacked Kerrigan, attempting to break her leg. When the plan failed and the men were arrested during Gillooly's interrogation, he explained how it was his wife's idea all along. Following the Olympics, Harding would admit to the conspiracy, and while she never served any jail time, the USFSA stripped Harding of her 1994 championship title and banned her for life. Robbie will next be seen in The Legend of Tarzan, which opens on July 1st, and Suicide Squad, which opens on August 6th. Kristian, buy or sell Margot Robbie as Tonya Harding?
I will buy her as Tonya Harding. I think she's a perfect choice for Tonya Harding because if you look at the ranges and the places that she can go, when you saw Wolf of Wall Street, she can get to that crazy level. I just wonder if they're going to explore the boxing days of Tonya Harding. If that's going to happen, I'd probably say no. But the question is, who's going to play Galooly? That's the one. It's like you right away. Not a very intimidating name for a guy who's committing a crime. Who is that? Galooly. I think that that's going to be a fun role for anybody to play is Galooly. But I think that to have Margot Robbie playing Tonya Harding is interesting. And I didn't really love The Finest Hours. I just saw it recently. It was just kind of very vanilla, and all the fears that I kind of had with that movie came true. So, I didn't love the guy's last project, but. Maybe this is the one that he can take with her and it'll work. What do you think?
I saw the news and I was like, why? Why?
Nice.
I do not want to see this at all. I do not care about this, and I'm selling it because Margot Robbie is one of the most talented actresses we have on planet Earth right now. I love watching her, whatever she's doing. I'm sure she will do a great Tonya Harding. This is a Lifetime movie. This story simply does not deserve the big screen treatment. This is like how everybody's starting to feel a little bit of OJ fatigue where, yes, we got a great series, and now we have this mini series that's airing currently that's great, by the way, but it's like, okay, I get it. I don't now need to see OJ on the big screen, and I don't care about this. It's a very harrowing tale. I remember watching it unfold when I was a kid, feeling so horrible for Nancy Kerrigan and what she went through. But I don't want to see this as a viewer. I don't think it's necessary. If you want to do like a hard-hitting documentary about it or a 30 for 30, which they may have already done, I just don't need to see this because it feels like something that would air on Lifetime or Oxygen and not anything I'd want to see in a big screen. This reeks to me of gunning for an Oscar. This smells like her trying to be Charlize Theron in Monster. Like, I'm just going to try to be against type and see if I can get a statue out of it. Like, who grows up and wants to play Tonya Harding? Like, it doesn't seem like anything that I, as a viewer, care about watching. And I'm a huge sports fan. I remember watching this unfold. This was amazing drama. I just do not care about seeing this on the big screen at all.
I got to bias and disagree with you. I think the John McEnroe, there's like a couple of movies being written around him. You've got a lot of sports biopics are really exciting and usually do really well when they translate to the big screen because there's a lot of drama. With this story, I think you're right. She could be gunning for that Oscar in a similar way as Charlize did with Monsters, but this is a totally different tone. And I think just the dirty deeds and the kind of the ugliness of this behind the beautiful smiles and everything, it feels very cinematic to me. I think I can't wait to see who they cast as Kerrigan. You could have two incredibly strong female actresses. I know they're not going to get Tom Hanks to play Googly or whatever that guy's name is. It's going to be someone else, a very strong actor. So I mean, not that Tom Hanks isn't a strong actor, but someone who will probably fit that role a little bit better. I'm excited to see the film. I thought it was I remember it very well, the horrible experience of her getting hurt, and then later it's revealed that it's the person competing against her. The whole Tonya Harding storyline. Yeah, they're not going to get into the later parts, I'm sure, but I'm pretty excited about it.
I mean, like maybe I just know the story so well because I have followed it. I've seen a lot of documentaries. I remember when they finally got Tonya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan in a room together after 15 or 20 years, and it just, if you are going to cast it and you're going to do this movie, Nancy Kerrigan, Kobe Smulders. Right?
It's
too old.
Too old.
Too
a little
too
too
old
old. You're right.
She's
got to be in her 20s.
Yeah, I mean, you remember Nancy Kerrigan was like early 20s when that happened.
Yeah,
so.
you could do Benjamin Button for 5 years.
No Benjamin Button technology.
No, I think I don't know, man. It's not as dark as Foxcatcher by any means, but Foxcatcher was not the story of Foxcatcher not in the news as much,
and neither was Monster. Like I didn't know a lot of the dramatic beats of that
story, but I think you said it though, because it was such a big, huge story. And you remember it. Maybe that's kind of why you're shining away from it, because they probably did make a Lifetime movie about it.
There probably were at least three of them. Yeah,
I bet Tori Spelling played Tonya Harding. I put a lot of money on it.
I love this premise. I'm bummed that you sell it, and I think that, I mean, at least for me, someone who's like so young, like I don't really remember this story back when it happened, but I think it's such an intriguing story, and if this does well, I really hope that it opens the door for other, I mean, like you say, cases like OJ are really popular right now. I hope the true crime stuff kind of comes to be even more of a bigger genre.
Maybe I'm just a little sick of true crime. Maybe I'm just
love true crime.
I get enough of that crap on the news. Maybe we just write a story.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. All right. What's next?
DHR reports that STX Entertainment is developing Den of Thieves, a crime thriller set to star Gerard Butler, which will reunite him with his London Has Fallen co-writer Kristian Harloff, who will now direct from the original screenplay he co-wrote with Paul Schering. The storyline focuses on the $120 million that is taken out of circulation on a daily basis by the Los Angeles branch of the Federal Reserve and a notorious crew of robbers that plan the ultimate heist right under the noses of the city's best cops. Butler will next be seen in Geostorm, an environmental disaster movie from Skydance Productions and Warner Brothers. A release date for Den of Thieves has yet to be set. Schnepp buyers sell Gerard Butler's new movie, Den of Thieves.
I buy the premise of it. It sounds like it could be an exciting heist film. I do sell Geostorm. That's got to be the dumbest title of any movie I've ever heard. I want to just retitle it Weather Planet. You know, I would go see that. Gerard Butler in Weather Planet. That's what it sounds like. Geostorm. It sounds like an app.
Geostorm sounds like it's like a group of kids who team up to like go investigate weather related
We'll
things.
be Geostorm. Yeah. Where's the little fort? Anyway, go do it, Butler.
You have Schnepp's blessing, Gerard.
That's all right. I sign off on this. But you're not taking any percentage, right?
No.
Okay, good.
No percentage.
I also buy this. I think anytime Gerard Butler, Olympus Has Fallen, London Has Fallen was not good, but it was still, I like seeing this guy as an action star. This is one of the guys that whenever he comes out with an action movie or a crime movie, that I am like, okay, wait a minute. I'm hoping for it. I'm crossing my fingers that's going to be good because he's a believable action star and he's got that kind of charisma that you want to follow him do these types of things. I like that he's staying away from the romantic comedy things that he was doing years back, and he's kind of going more to this and he's embracing it because he was introduced as a movie star in 300. So more of these movies, and I hope that they're good. I don't want him to just kind of be like, that should have been direct to Blu-ray. I think this could be something, so being optimistic, once again, buying it.
Yeah, I'll buy it. I will also say that I, Tonya is probably going to be a better movie than whatever this ends up being. But this is what I like seeing Gerard Butler do, because I'm sorry, Gerard, I don't think that his ceiling is as high as somebody like Margot Robbie, who can literally do anything she wants. Gerard Butler, like Kristian said, he tried to do a lot of rom-coms. I don't think that worked out as well as his ridiculous throwback to the late 80s, early 90s action movies. That's what I like seeing. So this sounds like one of those premises. This could have starred Steven Seagal in the early 90s. This could have starred Bruce Willis in the late 80s. It makes sense. So, yeah, it's a simple buy for me. Is it going to be a great film? No, I'm telling you right now, It's not. But it's going to be worth the $1 you spend when you Redbox it.
Van Damme in Den of Thieves.
All right, what's next?
Variety is reporting that Mandela Long Walk to Freedom director Justin Chadwick is in negotiations to helm Anthony Mackie's untitled Johnnie Cochran biopic. The film will be centered on the 1981 wrongful death case of college football star Ron Settles. Signal Hill police ruled that Settles had hung himself in a city jail cell in despair over his arrest for speeding, but Cochran suspected foul play and persuaded the Settles family to request that the body be exhumed for an autopsy, which showed Settles had been choked to death. The Settles family was subsequently awarded $1 million in a civil lawsuit against the Southern California city. Cochran, of course, is best known for his defense of O.J. Simpson in the 1995 murder case in which Simpson was acquitted. A release date for the movie has not been set. Mark buyers sell Anthony Mackie's Johnnie Cochran biopic with director Justin Chadwick.
I'm going to buy it, Ashley. I sold it halfway through when it said, somebody else is going to play Johnnie Cochran, and now we get another take on the O.J. story on the big screen. But when you're talking about the Ron Settles case, that is something that happened in the early 80s, and it put Johnnie Cochran on the map as this, world famous attorney that you call when you get into a jam. Right. And Johnnie Cochran's story is amazing, and Courtney B. Vance was a great Johnnie Cochran in the OJ miniseries. Yeah. But when you go younger, Anthony Mackie seems like the right guy. Anthony Mackie's a guy who has a lot of range. I don't think people give him enough credit for what he can do dramatically, comedically, obviously action when he plays Falcon in the Marvel movies. So yeah, this is something that I want to see, because that Ron Settles case, there's a lot of unsolved, it might be the wrong word, but there was a lot of mischievous stuff going on around that.
I also buy it I buy it because Anthony Mackie, I think, is underrated for what he can do dramatically. I also buy it because Johnnie Cochran is a fascinating character. Mm-hmm. And I also buy it because it's not OJ. I don't need any more to learn any more about Cochran and OJ. I learned a lot in the Peopleverse OJ, which is great. I don't need any more of that story. but there's a lot that Johnnie Cochran did, and this is a story that I think is intriguing. The fact that in 1981, I believe, to see it in that piece, to see what's going to happen with the director and the collaboration with Mackie. It's intriguing. It's interesting. It's another one of those things that you feel like it just repeats over and over again, but it's let's see what the trailer looks like. But I think that this trailer is something that Mackie could really shine doing. So, yeah, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, Ellis, I thought you don't like these Lifetime movies.
But see, this is a story that I'm not as familiar with.
No,
I know every beat of OJ. I know every beat of Tonya Harding. I don't really know a lot about the Ron Savage case.
Anthony Mackie. No, I'm buying this because I think Anthony Mackie is a fantastic actor. I love the idea of like Cochran origins. You know what I mean? This is like before, like, you know, when the OJ thing went down, they were like, get Cochran because he'd already been this name. So I think it sounds like a really kind of exciting intro to this super lawyer. You know?
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, HBO did that all the way. Which had him as Martin Luther King and Bryan Cranston as Lyndon B. Johnson. And it's really, really good. The performances that both of them give are phenomenal. If you don't think Anthony Mackie necessarily can disappear into a role, check that out and then come back and we'll chat.
You know what I liked Anthony Mackie in that no one ever talks about for sure? It's not a big standout role, but The Adjustment Bureau. I love the movie.
Right.
The movie,
the guys that wear hats. And
the hat. I'm floating
he's one
around
of those
through
guys.
time
He's
and
part of the
space,
bureau.
yeah.
Why wasn't that movie better?
It was weird and rickety.
Because they sold it as Dark City, and it was a love story.
Yeah.
They missold that movie.
And there was a lot of running around through doors. I remember, like, do you have the hat? I don't have the hat. They ran.
Yeah.
It was like, how is this ending? I don't even know.
It was a hat love story.
Yeah, it's a hat love story. Hat trick love story.
Wendy, what are they saying about the hat love story in the chat?
Well, let's go all the way back up to the Jack Reacher story. Seeing both buys and sells for this, some of the chat thought the first one was just all right. Claudio Mendez says, I don't know about this, sell the sequel, but Tom Cruise is such a great actor that I might buy. For the I, Tonya biopic, again, the chat is divided on this. Some of them, they're saying they just don't care for biopics, and the other ones are buying this because simply Margot Robbie, but they sell this movie. KenDog909 says, I buy the casting, but sell the movie itself. It's totally Oscar bait, and like Mark said, it would kill on Lifetime. Gerard Butler and Den of Thieves saw a lot of sales for this, and Heath Jones says, I want to buy this, but I haven't liked many of Gerard Butler's recent movies. Finally, for the Johnnie Cochran story, I'm seeing both buys and sells again. Some say this type of movie just doesn't do it for them. Others are buying this because Anthony Mackie. And Alex Smith says, I think Johnnie Cochran movie is a story a lot of people don't know about, should be good.
You know what's interesting is that I was monitoring the chat room after my Kobe Smulders playing Nancy Kerrigan idea.
Yes.
Daisy Ridley was a name that was thrown out there. I don't hate
good,
that.
That's
actually.
fantastic, and she
That's
also
really
looks
good.
very much like Carrie.
I still don't want to see the movie.
You're going to turn around very soon.
A Daisy Ridley Margot Robbie movie?
Come on, that's
man.
fantastic,
You're
Ellis.
in.
Buy
You're
it
in.
now. Rebuy.
Why?
Rebuy.
Now it's time to rewind, but not back to the Olympics. It's time to rewind 10 and 20 years ago. Movies that opened, and it's brought to you by our friends over at AMC. Ashley, what are the movies that opened up 10 and 20 years ago?
10 years ago, we have The Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift and Lake House, and 20 years ago, Eraser and The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Okay, so what's funny is Riley was reading me these movies yesterday about the movies that were coming out, and he's like, 10 years ago was Tokyo Drift. I'm like, no, it wasn't that long ago. I'm like, it wasn't 10 years ago. And he's like, no, it is. We looked it up, and it was absolutely 2006. And I'll tell you, this was when I still was low on the Fast and Furious franchise.
Same here.
And I'm like, no thanks. I didn't even see the movie in the theater. Didn't care about it. Because it was just it was the silly car movie to me. This was before they took 4 is when they started to kind of make the turn, no pun intended. And then at the fifth, the fifth one is really they just changed it into complete action movie, over the top, embraced it for what it is now. But when Tokyo Drift came out, it was off my radar. 10 years ago, Lake House was when I actually went to the premiere. Again, talked to Riley about this. I was lucky enough, dude. I went to the premiere and I went to the party afterwards. Sandra Bullock has always been an attractive woman, and the woman can dance. My goodness,
really?
can she dance? Yes. And
How was the movie, Kristian?
Oh, the movie. The movie was great. No. The movie was a remake. Obviously, the original was a lot better, and there's some cool, fun time travel elements to it. And then you go 20 years ago, and you got to go with Arnie. Like,
Eraser.
Traffic. What's it? That's luggage.
Look at this gun. It's super powerful. Well, there's about a giant gun. It could blow up houses.
Unbelievable. And then what's the other one? What was the 20? It was 20 years ago. Hunchback of Notre Dame. I remember that's an underrated movie.
Yeah,
a good animated film. Any of these stand out to you?
Eraser, however you want to say it. Eraser. Yeah, that was the one that sticks out to me. Tokyo Drift, no. just not. It's like it was one of those like, yeah, they're making another film. I know it made enough money to make a fourth one,
Right.
but that's the one that just didn't fit in with me because the first and the second one, I'm pretty sure the second one had Vin Diesel in it. This third one did not. I remember it was just a totally different storyline. So I don't remember really liking it. But Eraser is the one that I'm into.
I mean, all these movies, they seem like they were trying to follow an act that they just couldn't live up to. Like, if you look at Eraser came out, and now is Schwarzenegger's follow-up to True Lies.
Right.
And I remember seeing...
Was it?
No, this was after the sixth day. They were like, he did
after the sixth
he did a
day?
cluster
Had
of
to
weird
be.
action films that
Yeah.
were like
Was it really?
slightly sci-fi. Yeah.
Yeah, because True Lies was 94. This was 96.
I remember watching Eraser and being very excited, and I liked it okay, but I remember thinking Vanessa Williams is no Tom Arnold. Like, I need
Yeah.
a funny sidekick in there. And the Hunchback of Notre Dame, I'm going to call it because I'm a dumb American, is that you had the Lion King, then you had Pocahontas, and then you had the Hunchback of Notre Dame. That's when I started to maybe grow out of, I need to see every Disney movie.
Right.
I never saw The Lake House. It's a really creepy premise when you really think about it, and I just don't
Isn't
have
it
a
just
lot.
like Ghost on the Lake or something?
No,
it's like, I
it's
didn't
not
go
Ghost.
see
It's something
it.
in a
so-
mailbox.
It's like they're in two different time periods, and he's able to answer kind of her letters and they kind of lead into a particular circumstance.
Did you cry after you saw it?
I bawled like an idiot. No, I know. I do.
I'd cry watching Sandra Bullock dance.
No, but it was
I-
just
I'd be weeping.
She was attractive. Okay, that's it. That is Rewind, brought to you by our friends over at AMC. Now, before we get to mailbag, also wanted to encourage you guys to send out those tweets because we're going to do some live tweets on the air. Make sure that you include at Ashley Mova and at Collider Video. Ashley's going to go through those tweets and pick some out. But before we do that, it's mailbag time. You guys have submitted some questions. We were going to answer some of those questions. What's up first?
Harry Green writes, "Hey Collider crew, Collider Nightmares is more informative than I pictured. With Central Intelligence coming out this weekend, who has been your favorite comedy duo? I always enjoyed Bill Murray and Harold Ramis, but I would love to see Seth MacFarlane and Eddie Murphy team up simply because of the way they can change their voices. So who are your favorites and who would you like to see? Thanks and keep up the great work."
Well, as far as favorites go, and I'm sorry if I take, well, obviously Abbott and Costello and Laurel and Hardy, but for me, Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. I mean, come on. I mean, you go back, the chemistry with those two, like Mark says, treat yourself. If you have not seen any Pryor and Gene Wilder together, those guys, man, stir crazy, just all the things that they did together.
They did a
See No
couple
Evil.
of stinky ones towards the end, though. I remember, like the one when one guy was
See No
blind
Evil,
and
Hear
the
No
other,
Evil?
yeah.
I love See No Evil.
It turned my stomach.
Oh, no
No.
way. See No Evil, Hear No Evil is awesome. And there's a lot of great Gene Wilder screaming in there. I love that
Stinker.
movie. No, it's not.
Well, I'll have
It's
to watch
good.
it again and see how it holds up.
As far as who could work together now,
I've got one that it could happen again. It's Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy. They teamed up to do
Bowfinger.
Bowfinger, a highly underrated film. It's on Netflix right now. Check it out. I would love to see a Bowfinger 2. Now that's one of those no one's crying for this sequel. It'll probably never get made, but that was such a fun film. I watch it, at least once every other year or so.
you know who I want to see is I want to see Andy Samberg and Seth Rogen do a movie together. They've done stuff together, but never like a full movie together.
Yeah, see, I like watching Seth Rogen and anybody team up
Yeah.
because Seth Rogen is so funny in amongst himself, but he also is a great complimentary player. Not everybody has that ability. That's why it was so cool to see Jim Carrey step out of just owning a movie entirely and share the screen with Jeff Daniels in Dumb and Dumber. I know it was kind of a one-hit wonder if you saw Dumb and Dumber 2. I thought it was funny enough to not ruin the legacy.
Sure.
But Eddie Murphy's another guy where, yeah, you expect him to just be on screen and just be the funny guy in the room for 2 hours. But when him and Nick Nolte paired up,
That was
even
good.
for 48 or another 48 hours is good enough too. Like there's guys that are great solo artists, and then when you become a team, you actually elevate it further than that. Another one that I'll throw out there, which is not known as a comedy, but the Lethal Weapon franchise.
Sure.
Riggs and Murtaugh are so funny to watch together. They really, really have a lot of good comedic moments along with great action pieces. Modern day, I would say Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum, man. Those guys play off each other so
Yeah, they're pretty good.
well in
Yeah.
the jump streets, and I think that's why I'm so high on this Men in Black 23 crossover.
Mid 23, yeah.
They're just so funny together. So you can put them in an outlandish premise. You can put them in something that feels spoofy. You can put them in something that seems like a doomed franchise being desperate, and they're going to have fun with it. They're going to lampoon it and embrace it at the same time. That's the genius of those guys. So I think that movie's going to work.
You know what bombed out, but I still loved was the Nice Guys. Even though the last 20 minutes I did not like, I love Crow and Gosling, and I would love to see them team up again.
Yeah, they were really
They
good.
had great chemistry.
All right, what's next?
Mark Truitt writes, "Hey guys, I hear you all trash talk about the Transformers movies for being dumb popcorn films, but yet have no problem with ID4 Resurgence or Pacific Rim being one. In fact, you almost praise those to be such. How come one franchise is all right for being just a fun sci-fi action movie, but not the other?" I knew that was coming. That's what she said.
For me, I would tell you that I think it's just look. I understand the question. I think it's fair, but Independence Day, like I said, it's just a movie that I. You know what? I know Dennis made a great point when we did the commentary, and you'll see it today at 2 p.m. PST. What Roland Emmerich did with that particular movie, when all the stuff starts blowing up, you're invested in the characters a little more. There's more investment to it. You still, even though it is a popcorn movie, you still care about what's happening. When it's something like the Transformers, for me, is I don't care about anything or anyone in the movies. Characters I loved as cartoons, I don't care about them because they're not set up well. Movies can still be popcorn flicks that you can be invested in, and I think, and that's you have to care about it. You can acknowledge that a film is this is just a movie. You shut your brain off and you have fun, but you still have to care about what you're watching. So that's what I think the difference is. Because now look, the person who wrote this question, Mark Truitt, you might feel the way that I'm describing. You might be invested in the dopey characters in that particular movie and say, no, I like these guys. I like the way it's set up. Then that's why you enjoy it as a popcorn flick. For me, it's torture. All right.
Truitt, you seem like a good guy. I'm going to give you a fair shake. Now, look, I think that there is more of a high wire act involved with Transformers because somebody like a Kristian Harloff, who grew up loving the animated series, you do have to hit a certain level if you're going to appeal to his childhood senses. Like, I want this movie to be good because I love this source material so much. I didn't grow up playing with Independence Day toys. It wasn't a thing. I didn't have a Captain Stephen Hillard toy. I didn't grow up playing with Pacific Rim dolls. That wasn't a thing. So you're starting out with a lower bar, but also at Independence Day, Pacific Rim is fun to watch monsters hit each other. Why that is better than Transformers, in my opinion, is because the Transformers action sets, I can't tell what the hell is going on. The special effects are great, but I literally cannot distinguish this robot from this robot from that robot. When they all team up and start riding mecha dinosaurs at the end, it just all looks like a bunch of globs on screen, and I can't distinguish what the hell is happening. With Pacific Rim, I could see the Kaija, and I could see the Jaegers, and I could see them throwing punches and landing hits. With Independence Day, one of the huge appeals of that movie is not just the action, which I think is really well done, it's the sense of humor.
Right.
The sense of humor in Independence Day, that's a funny movie too, man. It got laughs. Every time I saw it in the theater, I saw it like 5 times that summer. It's got a lot of humor, and it hits. When Transformers tries to be funny, it misses, and it misses bad to where there's literally a stench coming off the screen, and you need to use some potpourri.
There's dogs peeing on robots. It's madness. I mean, the Transformers legacy so far, we've got how many of them now? 5 or 4?
There's too many.
You know, I mean, if you like the Transformers, that's cool. I don't. And every time I see a Transformers movie, it is some form of torture. But luckily, the next time we go, we're going to be super drunk.
Transformers drinking game.
It's
going to
be
now.
Incredible. But yeah, I mean, the biggest difference, you have Independence Day, like you said, like Welcome to Earth. You know, they love destroying monuments. There's a sense of fun and adventure in the Independence Day original film, and that we're getting from the sequel, at least, that even though I've been down on it for a long time when they were calling it ID Forever, which is a horrible title. I'm glad they changed it. I mean, at least now they're like, look, we're only making one of them. It's not like some kind of trilogy or whatever. Let's just see if the second one works. And I think from all the trailers and previews that I've seen, I've changed my opinion in that I actually am looking forward to seeing Independence Day 2. It seems like it's going to be a fun blockbuster summer film. The Transformers films are just kind of like a sluggish, like it's hard to get through. Like there's so many special effects that don't mean anything. None of the robots have really any characterization. So for myself, it's just a series of dumb experiences explosions and silly robots fighting each other, and then the humans are like side characters just used to get from point A to B. Like, let's travel around the globe in a weird spaceship. Look, now we're in China. You know, I'm not even going to go into it, but look, if you like it, Truett, that's awesome. It's everybody has different opinions.
Well, Truett's not saying he necessarily likes it.
I think
he
he
just
said,
asked the question.
I think Truett really loves
Now,
Transformers.
the other thing I'll say about Independence Day that I think it's overlooked is that Bill Pullman's speech, his motivational speech.
Oh, it's not overlooked.
It actually works in the sense that Pacific Rim tried to do it and failed.
Right.
Like I
With
think it
Idris
was Idris
Elba,
Elba
yeah.
is like he's going to give a speech and here's our big Independence Day moment, and it just didn't work.
Right.
And I left the theater being like, well, at least I got to see robots beat each other up. They didn't even try to do that in Transformers because they know that we don't care about any of the humans enough to pull something like that off.
We watched that speech. It still works, man. Like we got to a point. We just all shut up and just watch the speech. We put the microphone towards the
Nice.
thing. You're gonna hear it when you're watching the commentary. You will hear it kind of come at you because we just poked. I'm
gonna come in on Saturday and I just want to do my own. I'm so pissed I missed that.
I know. Okay, now we're going to get to Twitter questions. Ashley Mova, let us know exactly what they're asking on the twits.
On the twits, Nick Castillo writes, what TV actors/actress do you think could do the jump to the big screen?
I've gotten this before. I mean, I still want to see Cranston do a lot more than he's done. He's starting to make that transition into films, but he still hasn't kind of broke out. I think this crime movie that he's doing actually looks pretty cool. I don't know, other it's so weird now because the TV
everybody's back and forth. Like I was like, oh, Fargo, it's all movie actors in it.
It's a different landscape.
Preacher, that Dominic Cooper, that's right.
Yeah, it's a different landscape. It used to be TV actors and movie actors, but it's like TV, some people jump. I also heard that Julia Roberts is looking to kind of do straight up TV now too. So I don't know if I can make that call.
Yeah, it's like a combo style. Pick whoever you like and then imagine what they could be in, and it could happen.
I think, I mean, you have to go back to one of the great farm systems of all time for movies, particularly comedies, is Saturday Night Live. So you look at who from the current cast member, which I don't watch the show religiously like I used to. And we've already seen Leslie Jones in movies, and I think she's hysterical. Kate McKinnon is somebody else who is going to be maybe the unsung hero of the new Ghostbusters if it turns out to be good, because Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy are already big stars. And Leslie Jones is going to have a lot of funny stuff. I think Kate McKinnon is also somebody who, once she gets a chance to sign on her own, is going to pull that off pretty well. She's really talented.
Well, you know who else has had a couple of movies but still has not popped on the screen yet and has had a couple stinkers but has been good in them is Kit Harington from Game of Thrones, Jon Snow.
Sure, he has a possibility. I'm Lady Dynamite from Netflix.
Okay.
That'll work. And I also think like it's a personal, kind of thing because like I'm buddies with him, but Chris D'Elia, his show Undateable is no longer on the air, but that dude, he's had small bit parts in movies, and I think that he is a guy who has the charisma to make the leap to the big screen, as is somebody who's also a hysterical comic, Adam Devine, who's going to be in Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. Adam Devine is somebody who was great, and he helped create Workaholics. He's so funny on that show. I think him and Zac Efron are going to play off each other really well.
I know Louis C.K. has been in a side role.
Trumbo.
Yeah,
He's in
but
Trumbo.
he was in Trumbo. He's played smaller characters. He's great in all the little side bits. I'd love to see him headline a movie.
What was the movie? Attack on Precinct 13? The
Carpenter remake?
No, what was the one in John Travolta, the Paris with Love?
Oh yeah, From Paris with Love.
Chris D'Elia did that review with us, by the way.
We all
Look
sat
at
in the
this
theater
film.
and watched that. We were howling.
It's a funny review. So check out From Paris with Love on
John
the
Travolta with that soul patch.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Leah M. writes, any movies that you think deserve a better or worse rating on Rotten Tomatoes?
Oh, man. Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull has a way higher rating.
It's super high. It's like 88%. I'm like, what were the critics all eating? Like pot brownies? What's going on?
I mean, I was at the time, and I wasn't eating a pot brownie. I probably
You were
was.
convincing. You wanted it to be better than it was.
Oh, I had leaving the theater. I was like, well, hey, we got some good stuff.
He was trying to convince. I remember that. We were at the Grove.
I still do it.
Well, that was
still
that
do it
movie.
because I still think Harrison Ford is great as Indiana Jones in that movie. But the stuff around him, Shia LaBeouf swinging from the trees like a monkey, all those spider demons had come out. Kate Blanchett, the sword fighting looks so fake. There's a lot of stuff wrong with that movie, but Harrison Ford is not the culprit.
I remember seeing that film and I had to leave because all my friends, it was sold out, so we were sitting separately. And then after the film, we all got together. And I hated it, so I jokingly like, wasn't that awesome? And I thought everyone would be like, what? No. And everyone was like, it's amazing. And then I had to just shut up and leave because I didn't want to down their high. I was like, I got to go because I didn't want to talk about it. So, yeah.
All right. What's next?
Alex Anderson writes, "What's the best movie with a twist ending? No spoilers."
I mean, put
The Sixth Sense.
Usual Suspects.
Yeah, Usual Suspects is great.
I mean, I think 7 kind of counts.
7 does.
Yeah.
What's in the box?
It's certainly a twist. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
not really good at seeing twists. Like I'm horrible at guessing like what's gonna happen. I never guess who the killer is.
Oh,
and all
you know,
that
I just
stuff.
saw a cool movie last night, The Neon Demon. It's got a really weird twist that you don't see coming.
Yeah, I do like when you do get thrown for a loop. Like it's a fun thing. Clue is one that it doesn't want you to know, so it just kind of has you on your heels the whole time anyway. But you're having such a great time, you don't care. But yeah, twist movies are. The Crying Game is a movie that it won a bunch of Oscars. Or got nominated for a lot of Academy Awards. I feel like the whole movie is just set up for the twist, as opposed to. I think that was more of a shock value. I'll have to go back and watch it again, even though I really don't want to.
Some examples here are Primal Fear, Fight Club.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good ones too.
Fight Club's a good twist.
Fight Club had a lot of twists, though. It kept changing and transforming, which was great.
All right, what's next?
Sean writes, "What is one female-driven movie you would like to see with an all-male cast?"
That's a great.
Oh boy, we're not going to get in trouble for answering this
Yeah,
question
right?
at all.
That's why I asked it.
I know.
Let's just replace the women in this movie with a bunch of good old-fashioned dudes. That sounds like
I
a
would
good
like to see
idea.
Little Women, but all dudes, called Little Men.
Little dudes.
Yeah, Little Dudes.
Little dudes.
We'll put in Doc, Sneezy,
Yeah.
Grumpy, all
It's
the dudes.
But it's the Eighth Dwarf. It's we're going to beat Werner Herzog.
That's
I know he's
right.
making the Eighth Dwarf. We're going to make Little Dudes.
I want Ridley Scott to come back and direct Tom and Lewis instead of Thelma and Louise.
I want to see just a bunch of dudes sitting around talking, about feelings in steel magnolias.
Yes.
Because those magnolias are steel like a man.
It's
I like
really,
it.
really good. All
I
right.
think Driving Mr. Daisy.
Yeah. How about you, Ashley? What would you replace? You threw it on us.
No, that's
on.
not nice. But
Mean
I was
Boys.
thinking,
Flipping it.
oh my gosh, Mean Boys.
I
Aren't
love
we
it.
going to get Mean Moms? That's kind of like a
Well,
little
it's
twist.
so-
I was thinking
Brothers.
Bridesmaids, but we
Yeah.
kind of already have it with
Wedding
Mike
Crashers.
and Dave and Wedding
no,
Crashers, yeah.
what am I thinking of? The Hangover.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Kind of.
All right, let's do 2 more.
Okay. David Frazier writes, "Best concert / stand-up movie." I say Live on Sunset Strip.
That'd be live on Sunset Strip.
Live. Sorry,
Richard
sorry.
Pryor
Hate
killing
to be
it.
that guy, but
Yeah.
it's an
Sorry,
all-time
sorry.
classic. It is one of the great
Yes.
comedy experiences you will ever have. Richard Pryor, an all-timer.
I'm gonna go back to who we were talking about before. Delirious, man.
Eddie Murphy.
Not Delirious. Delirious.
Yeah.
Delirious is the first one. I'll tell you what though. That I watched that recently. Eddie Murphy Delirious. He could not get away with the stuff that he's talking about
Oh
in
my God.
1983.
That or Raw.
Yeah.
But really Delirious. I mean, Raw, yes, but with Delirious, he would have been slammed so hard for the things that he said back then. But it's pretty damn funny.
Anything George Carlin. Just watch that.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I mean,
Anything.
the best concert, if you're looking as far as a concert film from a band, like a great way to experience that band for the first time, Metallica Through the Never was something where you get to feel. You can say what you want about the sequence of the roadie going out, played by Dane DeHaan, but you actually feel like you're in the front row of a Metallica concert, which is an awesome experience. As far as stand-up goes, I've always said, and I will continue to hold this true to the day I die, Chris Rock's first HBO special, Bring the Pain, is a perfect hour of comedy. It is flawless.
All right. Last one.
Okay. Christy Flores writes, "What's a casting choice that you guys are glad never happened?"
Because he's sitting next to me. Nicolas Cage is Superman.
I'll say Dustin Hoffman is in Blade Runner. I was always like, what? That's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say Christopher
I'm from
Walken.
Krypton.
Christopher Walken also could have been Superman instead of Christopher Reeve. He auditioned for that. But
right.
Christopher Walken,
No.
obviously, also famously for Han Solo. I do want to go to an alternate universe and
love
watch
you.
Christopher Walken as Han Solo.
I want to go to an alternate universe and see Nick Cage as Superman and Christopher Walken as Brainiac.
Oh, man.
Because he was supposed to be Brainiac.
That's ridiculous. So ridiculous. All right, Wendy, what were they saying about some of the twits in the chat room?
Well, in the twits, they're saying fave comedy duo. Some of the examples are David Spade, Farley, Chris Rock, and Jackie Chan, Dana Carvey, Michael Myers, and my favorite, Mark Ellis and Kristian Harloff.
Nice.
Yeah, we did it, buddy.
All
Made
right,
the big
we made
time.
Okay. Well, is that it?
Oh, okay. Oh,
all we got.
female-driven movie with an all-male cast. This was kind of funny. Fried Green Tomatoes,
Yeah.
Mean Girls, Charlie's Angels, and Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Nice. Brotherhood of the Traveling Jeans.
I ain't wearing Schnepp's
Yikes.
jeans.
Yeah, you
Someone
are.
nailed.
Put
Someone
'em
nailed.
on.
Someone nailed it in here. Someone says, "I think Kristian hates Schnepp."
Aw.
We got it out there. There you go. Schnepp, I hate you.
Come
This whole
on.
time, I've been
sorry.
wanting to tell the world
That's
this.
supposed
what
to
I
be
see
behind the
I'm
scenes.
sorry. I didn't mean to bring it out there. But speaking of behind the scenes,
He really loves me, guys.
I do so much. He
hates it.
Facebook Live, by the way. We have been doing this. We're going to do it again today, but it's going to be a little different than the Q&A. Go over to Facebook and go to Collider.com. Go check that out. What we're going to do is like a little tour of the studio, and inside of the studio, we're going to kind of interview each person that we run into, and it might be like kind of switch-offs and handoffs of the camera. So it'll be about, 10 to 15 minutes of that. If you want to check out the behind the scenes here at Collider, go over to Facebook, Collider.com. Make sure that you like the page, and then as 5 minutes after the show goes off the air, we will do that.
Can you and Schnepp play nice for another 15 minutes?
Oh, God, we have to pretend again.
Acting!
All
Brilliant!
Hey!
Thank you.
What's going on here?
Speaking of Jon Schnepp, sitting over here to my left is Jon Schnepp. Where can they find you, my friend?
Well, you people can find me on Facebook and Twitter at Jon Schnepp, and also on Instagram. And goodbye. Oh, wait. Collider Heroes is on later this afternoon.
Amazing. There's
Tune
a
on in to see it later.
There's
Are
a
you on
hashtag.
Burgundy?
There's a hashtag now for HateGate. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Next to me on my right is Mark Ellis. Where can they find you?
As you mentioned earlier, the Finding Dory non-spoiler review, I was lucky enough to host that with Dennis and Perry. This Friday, the movie trivia schmodown, I get to host part of, just merely half of the great comedy duo known as Ellis and Harloff, and then I step on my own this Friday and Saturday at the Ice House Comedy Club in Pasadena. You can get your tickets at markellislive.com.
And it is Ashley Mova sitting next to him. Where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Ashley Mova. And today, your podcast will be up today.
The podcast goes up today.
Happy Wednesday, guys.
Happy Wednesday indeed.
Yeah,
Hey.
so I interviewed Ashley Mova for a full hour, just about everything about her. I've been doing that
yeah.
on the Harloff podcast, which is on the Schmoes Know iTunes feed.
Get some good dirt. I mean,
I had Campy on there. I had Miri on there. And today I had Ashley on, and we just talked about everything. It's really cool. She's a fascinating lady.
Oh, thank you.
So if you want to check that out, go and check out the Schmoes Know feed. But for me, Kristian Harloff, Twitter and Instagram, every Thursday on Collider Jedi Council. And speaking of Collider, we are actually going to be breaking a little bit of a scoop or a little bit of an announcement on the Schmoes Show on Thursday night, and it might affect some stuff here, so you might want to tune in on Thursday night. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you follow Wendy and the rest of the crew, and we will check you out soon. See you tomorrow.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.